Okay, hello. Today I will be talking about pennies and the history of them and stuff like that. So first we're going to start off with, this is a photo that is on the US Mint website. It tells you all about all the different types of coins. Today we're going to be focusing on pennies. If this video does good, I would make more on all the other types of coins. And yeah. First of all, the penny was minted from 1793 to 1814, and then they took a break and was minted from 1816 to now. So now we're going to talk about the first penny that we ever minted, and it was actually the first coin we ever minted as the United States. It's called the flowing hair penny. It was minted from 1793 to 1796. And right now they would be worth about $6,000, $8,000. They were 100% copper. They're the first U.S. penny. They were actually large, so they used to have a large cent things. There were three types. There were the normal, there is the cap, and the wreath. So I believe this one is considered the cap because it has a cap on it. This one is the normal, and this one's the wreath because there's a wreath right there. What I realized is to watch out for scams, because I saw some for like 20 bucks that are most likely fake when I was doing my research. Now we're going to go to our next coin. It is the draped bust. Classic head, braided hair, and the coronet, I think is how you say it. So they were so close together. Like this is an example of all the different ones, I believe, besides one of them, because there's 4 in that list and only 3 here. But yeah, I didn't really see that much of a change besides like stars and stuff like that, so I just made one big slide out of it. They're minted from 1796 to 1857. The price, because there are 4 different types of coins, the price varies. The older ones are probably closer to the 5,000 range. Newer ones are a little bit less than that. And again, watch out for scams. And I think it would be wonderful to have a large cent in general, because I think they look pretty cool. And we always know about the pennies, which are small. So next we have the Flying Eagle penny, which was minted from 1856 to 1858. They are $50 to $200. They were the first coin, well, the first penny that was not 100% copper. They were only minted for 3 years, which I think is super interesting. They're the first small cent, so all these other ones were bigger, and these ones are smaller, like the penny that we have now. I personally have one. This is mine. It is in terrible shape, but I got it from my great-grandpa, so it's very important to me. There's nothing really else that I have to say about the Flying Eagle. Next one is the Indian head pennies. So these ones were minted from 1858 to 1909. Oh yeah, I forgot something. Also, this is my favorite type of penny. I don't know why. I think because it's old and it looks cool. But this is my favorite year penny. This is front and back of one of my pennies that I have that is an Indian head. This is a better, cleaner version. You know, pennies get super dirty and stuff like that. The copper percentage actually went up from 88 to 95, and actually stayed at 95% copper, I believe, until 1982. And then they ended minting in 1909. So that means there were 2 different types of pennies in 1909. There were the next penny that we'll talk about, and this one, which I think is super interesting. So I personally really like the number 8. So the 1888 penny, you can't really see it that well because of the lighting, but this is one, and that was probably one of my favorite coins. I have 10 of them. And yeah. So now we're going to be talking about the Lincoln penny. Um, so Lincoln penny was the first coin to ever have a person on them. So like a person that lived in the United States on a coin. And they started minting those in 1909 to now. I put 2026 because I've heard rumors that in 2026 they're going to use the blank, like planchets, I think they're called, to still make them, because so we're not like just throwing them away. And they're not worth that much, like $1 to $5. I mean, 1 cent to $5. They're still making them today. It is the longest ran president on a coin. So all the other coins have had the presidents on them, but not for nearly as long as Lincoln has been on it. So the older ones are 95% copper, and then after 1982 they became 97% zinc and 2.5% copper. Next, so the first variety of the Lincoln penny is the wheat cent, and this one was minted from 1909 to 1958. These are personally what I collect. I really like wheat pennies. I think they're old enough that they're cool, but they're also new enough where you still find them in circulation and stuff. So now we'll go to our next one, which is the memorial penny. They minted the memorial pennies from 1958 to 2008. You can see Lincoln in the back. It depicts the Lincoln Memorial. And yeah, I think it's super cool. Oh, it's out of order. So, during the wheat pennies minting, 1943, during World War II, they made a steel penny. These are examples of steel pennies. This one's mine. They needed the copper for the war, so they ended up making them out of steel. And I think they're super cool because they're magnetic and stuff. But also a like really popular or really known error that the mint made was there's like a ghost 4. So right here you can see the 4 is not really there. If you hold it up and close, you can see that it was, or like it is there, but like it's not as defined as all the other stuff. So like here, that's how it's supposed to look. That's how mine looks. And then I do believe also the mint mark on mine is also missing because of it, the same reason. Do believe steel pennies are one of my favorites out of the pennies. So next, we're going to have the, oh yeah, so between the memorial penny and the shield penny, in 2009, to mark Lincoln's 200th birthday, I believe it was. Yeah, 200th. They made these. These are one of my favorites to collect. I don't know why. I think Lincoln was a pretty cool person, and the fact that he has literally a whole past 200, no, not 200, past 100, over 100 years of coins with him on them and more. So here you can see in the top left is the cabin. It's a cabin that shows like when Lincoln was born in Kentucky, and then it's his formative years, like when he was growing up. He's sitting on a log. I believe he's reading a book. And then his professional life of him doing his professional stuff, and then he moved to become the president. And that is the 2009 penny. Next, we have the shield penny that was minted from 2010 to 2025 and maybe 2026. I think this is one that might be cool in the future, although I really only collect 2025s because if it is last year, they're going to be worth stuff. But I feel like if I see this on the ground, I would just leave it because it's so new. But eventually in the future, they're going to be worth stuff. So, yeah. Next, we are talking about something that is funny that I realized. So, if you look at all four of these coins, and you can probably look at any other coins, there's one thing that's on them that's not the denomination, United States of America, and E pluribus unum. It's the initials. So, in 1909, in 1909, Victor Buren, I believe his name was, it's on the next slide. He designed the wheat penny, which I think he did an awesome job. And he put his initials right there, if you can see right there. And people complained about the VDB, which I'll go over in the next slide more in depth. But they complained about it. But now, they added it back, not in the same spot. I'll go over it in the next slide. But if you see right here, there's also initials, right? If you look at the top of like the plus sign, it's right there. And then there's two initials here. And then in 1918, when I was talking about here, they added it back after the chief engraver Charles Barber passed away. So, now I'm going to be talking about Brenner and Barber. So when I said Barber, you might have thought, wait a minute, Barber sounds familiar. Yes, Barber was actually the chief of engraver for the U.S. Mint. So he like ran the U.S. Mint. I feel like that's a pretty cool job. I would want it someday. He preceded his father, so his father was the 5th chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. And then he did not like the VDB on the coin. And because he was the chief engraver at the time, he could say, nope, off with it. So there was only like, I think it was like 3 days they printed the VDB with like there. Although Charles Barber, he passed away in 1917. But also something really cool about Barber is he designed the Barber dime and like anything that really has Barber on it. So this is an example of, I believe, a Barber dollar. But if you look right there, something I never really noticed is there's a B right there for Barber. So he removed Brenner's initials, but he kept his own, which I think that's super interesting. Then I'm going to talk about Victor David Brenner, where the VDB stands for. He designed the wheat penny. He was hired as a designer for the brand new wheat penny, and then he put VDB on the back, and then people argued about it because they thought it was too big and bulky and stuff. So Charles Barber removed it, and then in 1918, after Barber's death, the chief engraver, I don't know his name off the top of my head, he put it back on it, he put it right there, which I had no idea that it was right there. But nowadays, if you look at pretty much any of the new modern coins, there are the engraver's initials right at the shoulder. So that became like a normal. So that's why I believe that these ones also have them, because it became the new normal. The only thing about this one was that it was too big and people didn't like it. So now I'm going to nerd out because we're talking about coins, so I have to talk about the coolest coin I've ever seen. 1933 double eagle. 1933 double eagle was a gold coin. Although in 1933, FDR, he passed a law that it was illegal to own over 5 ounces of gold. But then also, he made it to where this line of coins got removed from the public, so they didn't really publish them. He asked for anybody who had them to bring them back. There are only 3 legal 1933 coins out there. 2 of them are at the National Smithsonian, and one of them is in the United States because a foreign, I think it was like, not a president, but somebody who ran a country on the other side of the world. He bought one, he got paperwork, he got it shipped, and he was fine because it was before the new law. So that is the only legal one in circulation today. So it's worth a lot of money. But I thought this was a super cool coin. Just because of the history behind it, because I really like history, and I thought it was super interesting. So thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe, hit that like button, and comment down below if you want to see more videos like this, and if you like what coin you want to see next. I'll do anything that is the United States, and I'm thinking about because I thought it was so interesting going through like the engraver history. I'm thinking about possibly doing a video about all of the chief engravers of the US Mint. Maybe not all of them. Maybe like the core main ones. When I was going through it, I know William Barber was one, but then before him there was one person, and then before that person was Ulysses S. Grant, who became our president. So it makes me want to look to see if there's any other presidents that were also engravers of the US Mint. But that is enough talking. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Please subscribe and hit that like button.